Okay, thanks for coming back. I wanted to talk a little bit about the ego as a projection machine or a projection camera. So let's look at where I'm coming from this. I want to make sure that we totally understand that we have three parts here. We have our spirit, we have our ego, and then we have our brain, or the mind. Okay, so a lot of these words are kind of used interchangeably, and so I want to just understand that we make a sincere distinction. So our brain is the actual physical part in this beautiful head right here, and that is the functioning, physical functioning organ, as we call it, of our body. Okay, then we have our ego. Okay, so we kind of know what that is, and then we have our spirit, or higher divine self. So I want to talk about the ego as a projection machine, much like a camera. The way a camera, the old films, they just run and then it shoots out the image. Okay, so I'm entertaining the concept that perhaps we don't see in the normal. We think our eyes are looking and receiving information, and I want to entertain the thought that perhaps it's the ego shooting up an image, a thought, through the brain, and the brain is then facilitating this image and shooting it out the eyes, okay, or shooting out of another a function, let's say a vibration that just goes out there, sort of like a wireless type thing, or you know, any other way. Okay, but basically let's look at it more. It's easier to conceptually see the idea, so to speak, by saying that it shoots it out of the eye, and then what we are seeing is what we just shot out. So in other words, it doesn't normally just view and find and then transbacks information. We're actually shooting out the information and then seeing it and then coming it back. Okay? So in other words, theoretically, in theory, we could not see anything without a thought. And that does work. That does work logically, because if we are in a meditative state, we're not seeing anything. When we're focusing on a flame or on a finger and just staring at it, there's no thought. That's the goal. There's no thought. So the only thing that we're seeing is we're seeing nothing, because we don't have any thought. So theoretically, that works. So if we took a week and just played with this concept that what we're seeing is what we're thinking, not what is really out there. Now, I want to work with that a little bit now from the second step out. Okay, so is everything a prop? And in other words, nothing exists. So when we see family members, friends, dogs, houses, co-workers, are they not real? They're just props in our reality? Well, that's one concept. I'd like to think that the universe is a lot more diverse and complicated than that. So I think that, or I'd rather change the word complicated to complex, and that they're able to do multilateral realities. As I'm thinking these thoughts, I'm seeing what I'm thinking, then the same thing, and they're real people. And so the universe has a way of matching the thoughts and the imagery. So in other words, if I want to see a beautiful woman on this street in front of this store at 10 a.m. and I'm really focusing on that, then the universe will physically bring another person who is real, who in their thought, because they're not a prop now, that they needed to be there at 10 o'clock to go to the store. Not to meet me, but to go to the store. We've got two direct thoughts actually working on their own, but now causing a third function, which is to meet. Okay, we're still following here? All right. So that person is real, their thought is real, and it works. So what happens if that doesn't transpire? Well, let's give an example. It's kind of fun. So I'm thinking, the person needs to be there. I shake my head, I turn and I look over in front of that store doorway, and I don't see the person. So I say, okay, what's wrong? Well, a couple of things could have taking place. One is that I want the thought, and I want that to happen, but there's something behind the scenes that's saying, you don't think that that's possible. So the universe almost has this person walking, and then they say, oops, he's getting self-doubt, he's having second thoughts about it, he doesn't think it's possible, and the person walks backwards. I need to go back to the car and get something. I left the keys there, or left my wallet in the car. And so it could work as simply as that. So in other words, we could look once, they're not there. Twice, they're not there. The third time you say, I really believe now it's going to happen. And I want it to happen. And not that I need it to happen. And I have no second doubts, because why shouldn't it happen? And then you look the third time and the person's there. So I think that's interesting how it works on a multi-level way, and how the universe complexually, is that such a word? Brings it all together. And I just want you to think about that for 1 week and see how it works for you.